Hello and welcome to CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Virendra Daphne in my personal capacity. I'm volunteering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Chief Data Officer in a series of interviews. Today, I have a pleasure talking to Girish Juneja, SVP, as well as the Chief Digital Officer at Dover Corporation. Welcome, Girish.
Thanks, Virendra. Thanks for hosting me.
Is there any technological guidance, that you would like to give to we have listeners starting from college till your CDO, CTO level. Is there any technology guidance that you would like to give for manufacturing, energy, utility industries for digital transformation?
Look, I'll say a few things. I won't call out specific technologies because, honestly, there are a lot of tools available. The main learning if there's anything I can impart to especially the younger generation that's trying to think about these careers in these industries, I would say customer experience is very important. I'm very, very focused on customer experiences. And I do think that the next generation, the Gen Zs that are coming, that are soon, that have entered workplaces and will be there in larger numbers, they're ready for immersive experiences. And they also come in with a sustainability mindset into the workplace. Okay. So, having those capabilities, having the ability to, for the customer to be able to learn new skills, to find new paths, to design new products and processes, to perform their job in combination with robotics, to be able to do installation with instructions that are provided remotely without having to wait for somebody to show up to do something for them. These are all, I call them, immersive experiences because they're going to get enabled by technologies that I mentioned earlier, right? Augmented reality, mixed reality, 3D visualization. Web is going to look fairly passé over the period of next decade or so, because the experiences are going to involve the physical and virtual worlds together. Okay. The second area of sustainability is also very important. I think the next generation has a far more acute awareness of sustainability and kind of asks and demands sustainability to be in the products. And that means understanding technology's impact in improving sustainability in each one of these verticals: manufacturing, energy, utilities. And I can talk about them separately, right? If you look at manufacturing, the sustainability is about both how we produce something. Do we produce it in a sustainable way? Which means digitization can help take out the waste in the process itself. And then what kinds of product we sell? Are we building products that are sustainable? So at Dover, we build a lot of products that drive environmental sustainability, like CO2-based HVAC systems and EV charging equipment and so on and so forth. So that area of sustainability is really important in manufacturing. If you go into utilities, it is about what kind of power sources are there, how the mix of power sources come together, how sustainable are they. The grid is going to become kind of producer. Today it's a producer consumer grid, right? Utilities set up the shop, the large utility environments. Consumers consume the power that is generated. If you think about a large network of electric vehicles, electric chargers, power becomes a more complex environment. Producer-consumer relationship changes. In this case, a lot of tools and technologies that enable that dynamic optimization of this new grid is going to be an important element on how utilities are going to change. So those are a few examples I can mention. I intentionally didn't mention names of tools because they would change. Every few years, you would get new tooling in it. But I think these two levers, these two change drivers are fairly consistent.
Okay. Thanks for that. You spoke about a number of things, immersive experiences, as well as the entire answer was quite informative. So if I now go to the last segment of this, because we started with definition, we considered speed, then we spoke priority, then we said why needed, then we even went into the digital adoption industries. And the last one is, if you divide it sector wise, okay, one sector which is very fast to pick up is finance and telecom. Then we have healthcare, we have energy and utilities. So how do you see this how do you see these digital transformation is different in these three main sectors, healthcare, finance, utilities?
Yeah, Virendra, that's a really good question. I try to look at trends in different verticals and see what ideas we can pick from each one of them. Finance is usually a leader, right, in the technology-led business transformations. This is because their core business itself is digital, right? They're mostly moving bits around. Yeah. To give you a few examples, cloud scaling enabled Robinhood type of businesses to come about, which allowed for partial share ownership, right? Big innovation in that space. Ethereum enabled cryptocurrency-based financial instruments. And then if you look in, you're in Pune, so if you look at markets like India, mobile and identity, the kind of national identity enabled a lot of payment companies to come about, which enabled P2P payment systems, huge innovations, right? That affected billions of people. So finance digital transformation is being driven by changing the core value proposition of financial institutions themselves. What is the value they add? How can that value be better provided? How can the transactional and frictional cost in those services be reduced? So it's very core to those institutions, and that forces these large financial majors to rethink inside out their products and their services. It's fairly fundamental. A slightly different example is healthcare. Healthcare, especially in the way it's delivered in where I sit in North America, is highly regulated in some areas and with a lot of privacy requirements in others, which makes it a complicated space for digitization. So here you see innovations in the white spaces where new opportunities are coming up to deliver patient care or new kinds of drugs, right? So that are enabled by digitization. A few examples is COVID drove a lot of remote diagnostics innovations in North America. There's a lot of digital innovation around consumer information around healthcare, especially as it's on the body devices that enable consumers to identify their current health status more appropriately. In terms of how care is delivered, robotic surgery is a huge digital innovation in how the care is delivered. And in the drug space, gene therapy is is designed heavily based on data that is around gene data, right? So a lot of that drug research happens in a very digital way. So, but it's not affecting the core patient care, right? The core patient hospital care today, or a doctor care, is to a large extent still similar than it was 4 or 5 years ago, but it's affecting these other areas where it's a white space of patient care, right? Manufacturing, the place where I live in, is a tale of two worlds. If you think of spaces like automotive, it looks more like finance, right? It looks more like finance because internal combustion engine, which is the fundamental to the automotive industry, is itself getting usurped by EV technology. Right. So those companies have had to rethink everything: manufacturing, operations, go-to-market, customer support. So it looks very much like financial services transformation, inside out, completely fundamental. If you look at some other spaces like component suppliers, some of the other areas which are further away from places where fundamental transformation of technology has happened, it's more around driving adjacent innovations in products and services and digitization in go-to-market. So it's a tale of two cities, depending upon which market you play in manufacturing.
Okay, I think that's quite insightful. And now we go to the last question, because we have a lot of audience, which is growing audience. okay, which is the students across India, US, and the globe who watch this CDO magazine with a lot of curiosity and learning. So what is your advice for a youngster who want to make a career in digital transformation or in IT? What is your advice to them, to today's youngster?
Yeah, look, I feel very passionate about this because I'm a father of two young boys, who are just entering workforces. I consistently see four characteristics in youngsters who I think will end up with successful careers in digital transformation, right? The first one I see is strong foundation in technology. I mean, the educational foundation is fundamental. Understanding the basics is fundamental.
Yeah.
The second I would see, and actually that's almost a baseline. That doesn't mean you'll be successful. That just means you have a chance to be successful in that career, right? Second, which I believe strongly in these folks, are continuous learners. So they are not satisfied with what they know. They're actually striving to learn more, whether it be through open source technologies, whether it be through experimenting on their own, whether it be through out of workplace experiences, which have nothing to do with technology, but they can bring some ideas back because they find the equivalence in those concepts to be applied in digitization. Those folks, that continuous learning is, to me, a very core part of being a successful digital transformation person who will have success in the career in that area. The third, I would say, is need to think big, right? So some of these youngsters, they are not thinking incremental changes. They are thinking step function changes. And I do think that also separates out people that will have great successes in digital transformation with people that will have good careers, but not outsized outcomes for themselves and for the companies they work in. And these big changes are, for example, how to accelerate move to CO2-based cooling, how to drive EV acceleration, EV adoption acceleration, like fundamental societal moving changes that are happening. And I think finally it's communication. The digitization and any career in information technology is about being able to communicate about technology with a relatively non-technical audience. So if that skill is not developed, the other things don't shine enough. They don't get enough visibility. So communication skills are also fundamental. So I would say these four, in my view, would be the areas to focus on.
Thank you very much. It was a learning experience for me to be with you. Thank you very much again, Girish Juneja. And for everyone, keep watching cdomagazine.tech for more interviews. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Virendra. I appreciate you hosting me. It was a great conversation. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.